Hello, everyone. My name is Sam, and with the Bluegrass Council of the Blind. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching this video on our YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite mobile apps. And we're going to have apps for iOS, apps for Android, and then apps that you can find on both platforms. Before we get started with that, though, once again, thank you for watching. If you guys would like to get a hold of us, please feel free to reach out through our website, bcbky.org. You can also send us an email at info, I-N-F-O, at bcbky.org, or give us a call, 859-259-1834. We'd be happy to help. Also, while you're on the website, check out, we've got a resource page with lots of information. So for the rest of the video here, I'm going to turn off my screen so that I can, I don't have to keep looking over the side like that. But I thought I would make introductions here with the camera on. Okay. So as I said, we're going to be talking about our favorite apps, and we do have someone in the office here live joining us. So if it's Miss Linda, and if she has any questions, she can please feel free to ask. I'm sure whoever the viewers watching later on would appreciate, I'm sure they'll have questions too, and maybe you guys will have the same questions. So, okay, so I have a list here, and we're just going to kind of go over the list and then talk about some of these. I'll give a little bit more information, brief descriptions of each one. I'll do my best anyway. But first, we'll start with iOS. So these particular apps will work on just about any iPhone, just about any iPad. As long as you don't have a really old one, you should be okay. Some of these are going to be free. Some of them are going to be paid apps. And I'll definitely let you know if I know specific prices of the apps. Some I do, some I don't. So the very first one, probably the most popular app in the BVI community, blind and visually impaired community, is Seeing AI. Now, this is only available on iOS products, Apple or iPhones and iPads, but it's a free app, which is fantastic. It's made by Microsoft, and it's a really great application, very versatile and very helpful. Its main function, I would argue, is reading out text. So it can use your camera to capture an image of text, and it will read that out loud. It can do that in real time with its quick reading, where you just point the camera and it reads out loud what it sees, or it can actually snap a picture and do a full page document scan. It has some extra features like color identification, bank notes. It can tell you what your money is. Light identification, it'll tell you if you left a light on in a room or something. And then some other things, facial recognition, lots of really cool stuff. But that is Seeing AI, SEEING AI. Next one is Digit Eyes, and this is an oldie but a goodie. It's a pretty simple application. It is basically a barcode scanning app. You can scan barcodes and it will give you information about the product. The nice thing about Digit Eyes, a couple nice things. One is it tends to give you a lot of information, including sometimes cooking instructions, nutritional information if it's a food product. But really the power of this application, in my opinion, is the fact that you can actually create your own barcode labels. So if anybody is familiar with the Pin Friend, it's very similar to that. So if you scan a barcode and it doesn't know what it is, Trader Joe's, a lot of Trader Joe's products, for some reason, they aren't usually in databases. So if you scan something and it just doesn't know what it is, well, you can actually record your own label for that product so that the next time you scan it, it will tell you what it is. But you can also print off blank barcodes and then scan those and label them whatever you want to. So just like the pin friend, your clothing, your cleaning products, like spices in your cabinet. I have a friend who she loves to buy shoes, so she will buy shoes and then she'll scan a barcode and put it on the shoebox, and then label it whatever kind of shoes they are. And so that's how she keeps track of her shoes. So really cool product. Digit Eyes cost $10, $9.99 on the App Store, but it's a great product. The next one we'll talk about is Blind Square. Now this is a navigational app for iOS, and it's pretty popular. It's very powerful. It was designed for the visually impaired, so it gives you a lot of information, navigational information that you can't get from other navigation apps like Apple Maps or Google Maps. It'll give you, it'll say your destination is at 11 o'clock, 20 feet at 11 o'clock, something like that. So it gives you really fine-tuned directions that way. Now this one is not free. It is $35 for this application. So kind of a little bit of on the pricey side, but a good one also. We've got a couple more navigational apps. The next one is Soundscapes. And this one, I believe, is free. Yes, this one's free. This one is very unique. You can create maps of your environment through sound. For example, if you wanted to, in your office, you could go to the restroom and create a map as you go, and then when you come back, you could follow that map back to your office or your desk. It works really well in restaurants. I've got a lot of friends that will do that in restaurants. They'll find their way to the restroom, create a map, and then the rest of the night, they don't need any help finding the restroom. They just follow the map back and forth. And it all does with sound. So you could put on a pair of headphones and follow along. So really interesting. The next one is called Clew, and it's spelled like chew, C-H-E-W, but it's C-L-E-W, pronounced Clew. This one is really nice too. It's very similar to Soundscapes, but it uses your camera to create this map. So once again, the scenario of at a restaurant, you need to find the restroom. You use your camera on your phone and you navigate to the restroom, and then it will guide you back using the camera as well. And it works really well. It gives you audio cues, turn left, turn right, 20 feet, turn right. And it works really well. I've had a lot of success with it. The final one, I'll come back to that later, actually. Another navigational app. So now we'll get into some productivity apps for iOS. A keyboard replacement, a really good keyboard replacement is called Big Keys. And this is going to be for low vision users. It will add color contrast and high contrast elements to your keyboard, and it also enlarges your keyboard. This works fantastically on an iPad. It gives you a nice big brightly colored keyboard, and you have a couple different color combinations you can choose from, like high contrast, black and yellow, that sort of thing. So that one is Big Keys. I don't recall the price of this one, but it does cost money. I don't think it's very expensive though. I think it's like a couple dollars. The next one is the Spectrum Access app. So this one is fantastic for getting descriptive audio for movies, television shows, that sort of thing. So the way it works, and this is a free app, the way it works, you don't even need to be a Spectrum user to use this app. You open up the app and say you want to watch a movie like Jaws, for example, or something like that, then and it doesn't have audio description. Well, you can go into the app and search for that movie. Jaws may be not a good example. I doubt they have audio description for Jaws, but yeah, that's an old movie. Find your movie or your television show that you want to watch, and then you can download the audio track to your phone. It takes just a couple of seconds to download, and then you press play on your movie, you press play in the app, you point the phone camera at the television, and the app syncs up with the movie or the TV show that you're watching and does the audio description through the app for that television show or that movie. So it's really convenient. The fact that it syncs itself up and you don't have to do with that, you don't have to deal with that. That's really, really nice. I like that a lot. Yeah, it's just like any other audio description. So Linda asked if it's a real voice that does the audio description. Yes, it is a person. It's just the regular audio description track that you would find on modern day movies and TV shows. Just the audio description comes out through the phone speakers while you're watching the movie on your TV. And then finally, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that are already built into the phone, because technically these are apps. Just because we didn't download them, they're still apps. First one I like to point out is the AirPlay feature of iPhones and iPads. This allows you to stream the screen of your phone or your iPad onto a larger television or computer. The television needs to be like a smart TV that can receive that. And then the computer needs to be either a Mac computer or an Apple computer or a PC running some type of program that will accept the AirPlay signal. But either way, this can allow you to get your very small screen on a much larger screen. So once again, for low vision users, you can take that iPad screen from a little 9-inch or 10-inch iPad screen up to a 40-inch television screen. You can make it really, really big, and sometimes that'll make it easier to see some things. And that's just already included on the phone. The next one is, of course, probably the most popular, VoiceOver. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of us watching this already know what that is. That is iOS's built-in screen reader. Different from the next app that I want to mention, which is Siri. Some people kind of get those two confused, especially when by default they're using the same voice. That can make it even further the confusion. But VoiceOver is simply a screen reader. It only reads out loud what is on your screen. That's all it does. Siri is your personal digital assistant. She, or in my case, I've got an Irish guy as my Siri, so he will perform tasks for you, look up information for you, lots and lots of things. But VoiceOver will only read out the screen for you. That's all it does. Okay, so that is all I have in this list for iOS. Now, that's not the only apps we're going to talk about, because our final section is apps that are available on both iOS and Android. So we're going to come back to iOS here in a minute. Now, moving on to our Android users. All of these apps are available on Android. Android's kind of if you're not familiar with Android, Android is basically the operating system running on the phone or the tablet, but many different companies will make the phone or the tablet, make the hardware. So even if you have an HTC phone or a Motorola phone or a Samsung phone or LG, if they're even still around, no matter what you have, if it's running Android, you should be able to run these apps on it. The first one is called TapTapC. So this one is basically an identification app. I can point the camera at a book and I tap the screen and it will tell me what the book is. It'll tell me it's a book and it'll read the cover of the book for me. If I point it at a chair, it'll tell me it's a chair. It's a very basic application. I believe it cost money. The last time I checked, I think it cost money. But yeah. Okay, I had that as an Android only, but as I was reading it, I was thinking it may be on iPhone as well. I think it used to only be Android, but I think you're right. The next one is Ideal Currency Identifier. So some of these apps, that we're going to talk about, like Seeing AI, they will identify money, but this is an app that's all it does. It's just built for that task. And so it's Ideal Currency Identifier. And it works pretty well. It's just a very basic application, just IDs your money. You hold a bill in front of the camera and it'll tell you what it is. It probably does a very limited number of currencies, like from other countries. It'll probably ID Canadian money. I doubt it's going to do something as like Japanese money or money from Israel or anything like that. Probably pretty limited. The next one is a new application. It was just released like last year, and in fact, I think it might still be in beta. You should be able to download it, but I believe it's still in beta. But it's called Audible Vision. And this is a really impressive application. I did a whole review about it, and it has the fastest text reading I've seen on any app or device. It has basically the same function as Seeing AI. It's got a couple extra features like mask identifying. You can scan a room full of people and it'll tell you how many people are wearing masks. In case you're concerned, you don't want to go out where a lot of people aren't wearing masks, you could do that. But the text recognition is so impressive. You can point your camera at a page at your mail, or for example, and as soon the split second you touch the screen, it starts reading. It may be magic, I'm not sure, but it is incredibly fast and accurate too. So Audible Vision, that's a good one. The next one is a screen magnifier application, or a digital magnifier application called WeZoom, W-E-Z-O-O-M. This is only for Android, and it works really, really well. It's my favorite digital magnifier app. So for low vision users, if you want to have an easy, quick digital magnifier, WeZoom is a great option, and it's free, so you can't beat that. The next one is called Google Lookout. And so this is a Google application, so you know it's going to be made really well. And Lookout has several features similar to some of the others like Seeing AI. It can read text, both a quick read function and a document scanning function. It can also identify money, and it works really well for money. And then it can also identify objects and barcodes. And I was actually pretty impressed with the object identifying feature. I hadn't used Lookout in quite a while, so this morning I launched it, still on my phone. I launched it again and checked it out, and they've improved it since I played around with it last time, and the object identifying is really, really pretty cool. I just sat there and kind of scanned my room, and it would just, as it saw things, it would tell me what it was. So pretty nice little program, and it's free. Google Lookout. The next one, there's two here that are very helpful for low vision. One is Big Font, and the other is Big Launcher. So Big Font does just that. It increases the size of your font, your text on your phone or your tablet, and it can increase it past the largest level that naturally your phone could do in the accessibility settings. It can go even bigger, and it can go ridiculously big. It can make your text really, really big. So for low vision users, that's great. Now, a word of warning though. Just like if you've ever played around with the text size on your computer, if you make it too big, you might run into problems. The text on the screen might get cut off. It might kind of render some things a little strangely on screen if it's too big. So just play around with it, but be careful with that. The Big Launcher is just that. It changes your launcher. So your home screen on your phone, it replaces that with a much more low vision friendly launcher. Everything is bigger, the buttons are bigger, the text is bigger, they're brightly colored. So it's just an easier to see launcher. Speaking also of launchers, my personal favorite launcher for Android is called Nova Launcher, N-O-V-A Launcher. Now, this is a paid program, especially they have a free version, but if you want to get the features that are helpful for us, like the ability to enlarge the icons, enlarge your shortcuts, enlarge your text, all of that, then you do have to get the Prime version, the Pro version. I believe it's only a couple dollars, maybe like less than $10. And it's very, very helpful in my opinion. But it has a lot of functionality, and including making everything bigger, but you can also add all kinds of gestures to your home screen. So if you swipe right with 2 fingers, it does something, you can choose what it does. And so customizing all of those things can make it easier for someone with low vision. Now, also with Android, we're going to talk about some of the just built-in features. And just like we talked about AirPlay with iOS, Android has its own version of this. On Samsung, it's called Screencast. It may be called something slightly different depending on your phone, but all Android phones should have something like that. But it does the exact same thing as AirPlay. You can send the screen of your phone or your tablet to a much larger television, smart TV, or computer screen. And that makes it so much easier to see all your icons and everything on a big, like 32-inch screen. Then we have TalkBack. TalkBack is Android's version of a screen reader, just like VoiceOver. TalkBack is much better now than it used to be. I'll say that. In my opinion, my own personal opinion, I think VoiceOver is still better. It still is less frustrating, I'll say, in more situations than TalkBack. But TalkBack is getting much, much better. Every time they update it, it's getting much better. And it's a pretty strong screen reader now. If you have an older phone with maybe a slower processor, then you're not going to have as good of an experience using TalkBack as you would a newer phone. But it's still pretty helpful. Then you have, instead of Siri on Android, we have Hey Google. And it's just Google Assistant, but to trigger it, you say, Hey Google. And excuse me, works even better in my opinion. I prefer Google much more than Siri. It's just Google can do a lot more for you. It can answer more questions, get you more information, perform more tasks for you, because it's Google. I mean, Google is almost just about running the world right now. So that's why it works so well. But super helpful, just like Siri, sending text messages, making phone calls, writing out emails, adding events to your calendar, setting reminders, setting alarms, opening apps, taking selfies, turning on the flashlight. I mean, it's endless what you can do with your voice through either Siri or Hey Google. Okay, now we are going to talk about some of the apps that are available on both platforms. And so if you're an iOS user or an Android user, you'll be able to use these. The first one, which I and a lot of people love, is the Bard app, the National Library Service Talking Books program, their mobile app. So you can listen to your books, your audio books. Fantastic. It's a free app. You do have to have an account with NLS Talking Books program, but that too is free. You just need to get signed up with them. But once you do, and you have this app on your phone, you can go in and you can search through their database, find a book, download it directly to the phone, to the app, and then within like a minute of searching, you could be listening to your book. So no more waiting for it to come in the mail or anything like that. It's fantastic, and it's available for iOS, Android, iPads, Android tablets, everything. The next one is KNFB Reader. This is an oldie but a goodie. Probably the most expensive app on the list here, because this is $99, $100 for this application. A pro tip, it does go on sale every now and then. I picked up my version for $20 during Black Friday one year. So it does go on sale. But KNFB Reader is strictly an OCR device, text reading. It will take a picture and read out loud what it says. I did a comparison between KNFB Reader and Seeing AI, and in my opinion, KNFB Reader performed better, mainly because it's offline reading. You don't need to be connected to either Wi-Fi or mobile data for it to work. So if you have an iPad that doesn't have mobile data and you're not at home on your Wi-Fi, you can still use this. It still works and it works great. Seeing AI does not. Excuse me. The next thing is Be My Eyes, another very popular application. A lot of people know about this app. This app is available for both platforms, and this app connects you to a volunteer somewhere in the world, and they will help out with whatever you need. They see through your camera, and you can get help with reading or directions, or if you dropped a pin on the floor and you can't find it, you could ask the volunteer to find your pin for you. Literally whatever you need. Now, one thing to note is that it is just a random volunteer. It's a random stranger somewhere in the world. So obviously you want to be careful. You don't want to say, hey, can you read my phone bill for me or my bank statement? You don't want to let them know, share your address or anything like that. So just be a little, use some street smarts when you're using the app, but it is incredibly helpful and people use it all the time. The next two apps are both very, very similar to Seeing AI, have a lot of the same features, text reading, color identifying, barcode scanning, that sort of thing. And they're available for Android and iOS. They're also both paid apps, and I believe they're both subscription-based applications. So you pay either a monthly fee or an annual fee to use these. But one is Supersense, and the other is Envision. Both work really well. I've done video reviews on both apps, and so nothing really much to say. They like I said, they can read text, all these other things, and both work really well. No, so Linda asked if Envision was associated with Envision America, and no, oddly enough, it is not. I quite often, I went to a conference recently and I was looking through the list and I saw Envision. I was like, oh, and then I saw America. I was like, oh, not the same people. Good question though. Now, there's another app that is not, so all the apps so far we've been talking about have pretty much been geared towards the blind and visually impaired in one way or another, but this next one is not. But I use it all the time, and it's super helpful for myself and my family. And that app is called Our Groceries. So it is basically a list app, a note-taking app. You can create whatever list you want. Obviously, by the title, they would like you to make grocery lists, and you totally could. But on our phone, we have, this is on all of my family's phones, because you can link the app with multiple users. That's really why how it's so powerful. But we have all kinds of apps like Christmas wish lists. List for Lowe's, if we go to Lowe's, this is what we need, that kind of stuff. But where it's really helpful, and it works well with VoiceOver, it works well with TalkBack, is, like I said, you can link the same app to different users and one account to different users. So when I add something to my grocery list on the app, it instantly shows up on my wife's grocery list, my daughter's grocery list, my father-in-law's grocery list, everybody's. So this is really helpful. So if my wife goes to the store and after she leaves, I realize, oh, we need cheese, I can quickly add it to the list, and then she at the grocery store will see it and can get cheese. The other great thing about this list is it pairs up beautifully with the Amazon Echo. I won't say her name because she's in the room listening right now, but you guys know who she is. Starts with an A. So I can stand in my kitchen and I can say, "Hey lady, open our groceries and add bananas." And she will say, "Bananas added to grocery list." And then it will instantly show up in my app, in my wife's app, everybody's app. So I don't even need to get my phone out to add things to the list. I can do it all with my voice. Works really, really well. So I'll stand at my refrigerator and just kind of look for stuff we need and just tell her to add it to the list, and it works great. The nice thing, one more thing, I'm going on and on about our groceries just because I love it so much, but we have, like I said, we have Christmas wish lists. And so my daughter on her phone will add something to her Christmas list when she thinks about it. And then it will show up on everybody in the family's list. So they can, we can get that for her for Christmas. It works really well for that kind of thing. Then, of course, speaking of the A Lady, that is another one that is available for both iOS and Android, is the Amazon Echo app, Alexa, her. And that works great too. It's a great way to, you need the app actually if you want to set one of these up in your home, but you can access the A Lady through the app and ask her questions and do everything that you could do through the machine, the Echo sitting on your counter. You can do all of that through the app, and that comes in very handy as well. Talking about productivity and lists, another great one is Evernote. Now, Evernote, once again, is not particularly an app for the blind, but it works really, really well with VoiceOver and TalkBack. And it's just a great note-taking or list-taking application. If you ever need to take down some notes and you want those notes to sync up on all of your different devices, especially like myself, who I have an iPhone, but I'm not a Mac user, I'm a PC user, then Evernote will do that. Another benefit to Evernote, it used to do this anyways, I don't know if it still does. If you had a long list in your notes, VoiceOver would read one line at a time, instead of how it traditionally reads a whole text block at a time, like a whole paragraph. It would just read line by line. So if anybody is practicing lines for an acting gig, or practicing their speech that they need to do, or a presentation, it works great for that because you can just go line by line. Okay, so talking about communication, WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a fantastic application that is available for both Android and iOS. I believe Facebook owns it now. But it is a communication app for sending text messages, making phone calls, making video calls, sending voice messages, all of this for free. It doesn't cost anything. It's a free app. You create an account for free, and you can make these phone calls and all of this for free, and they're international calls too. So this one was recommended by Theresa, our director. Her son currently one of her sons lives in Australia, and she uses this app to call him for free. So it calls over Wi-Fi or your mobile data if you're not connected to Wi-Fi. And like I said, you can do video calls, you can do phone calls, send text messages. It's a very, very popular app, especially in other countries, Europe and Asian countries. It's very, very popular there. Now, the last two apps I wanted to really quickly talk about are just a couple of games. I figured I should throw in some games to this list as well. The first one is probably the most popular one, and it's called Blindfold games. And these are games that were designed for the visually impaired. So you do not need sight to play these games that are all audio-based games. And it's got a couple of different games you can play. I haven't played them in quite a while, so maybe they've added some more. But at the time, it had an archery game, so you could shoot a bow and arrow. I think it had a bowling game. It had a fighting game, so you could sword fight with somebody. And it's all audio, which is pretty cool. And then the final game is called A Blind Legend. And this is an adventure game. So kind of thinking about like Dungeons and Dragons, kind of sword and sorcery game. You are a warrior and you have to go probably save the kingdom. I I haven't played too much of this, but it was really cool. And it is also an audio-based game. And that's available for both. So that is my list, quite a long list. And if you guys watching have any questions about these apps, please feel free to reach out to us. I'll do my best to help out. I will put this complete list in the description of this video on our YouTube page. If you're watching this somewhere else like Facebook, if you want the complete list, just jump on over to our YouTube page and you can find the list written out in the description of this video. And that is it for this one, guys. Thank you very much for joining me for this AT seminar. Once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can give us a call, 859-259-1834, or send us an email, info@bcbky.org. Thank you very much.